We're back, Alphas.
We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
Hi there, Alphas. During the holiday season, the Tango Alpha Lima podcast team is taking a break. Woo! Need a break. But while we're gone, we do have a little bonus content for you.
So we've looked back at all the things we've done during season 6, and we've come up with a list of our top 6 most impactful guests from 2025. And that was not easy. It really was difficult.
There were so many great guests. But we'll be re-releasing those interviews this week. So if you haven't already subscribed to Tango Alpha Lima on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, don't miss our countdown. We've got you covered.
Comedian, actor, and social media influencer Austin von Leckman, better known by his social handle MandatoryFunDay, has become a sort of a repeat offender here on the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. We all caught up with him during the national convention in Tampa, and Joe and myself saw him just a couple weeks ago at the Army-Navy game, actually. But Austin was first a guest on our show back in February when he was just starting to share the content about the American Legion with he's got a few followers. I think it's like only 20 million.
I think a few million.
Just a paltry.
Yeah, a few million.
Do you guys have
few million?
A paltry few 20 million. Do you guys have a favorite Mandatory Fun Day moment with Austin?
I follow him on social media, and I will tend to like death scroll where I'll just flip through reels and stuff. But if it's something from Mandatory Fun, I stop and watch it because I always end up having a really good chuckle out of it. And I will share 99.9% of what he produces. He's funny.
I just loved how down to earth meeting him was. He has that same energy in person that he has online. And so I think for me, I like seeing that because then it makes me feel like when I'm watching their videos, I am getting a piece of who they really are. That's me though. I'm easy.
I just love his down to earth, kind of look, I can't believe they're letting me tell jokes for a living and be a soldier and an officer. And he's just such a great guy. And yes, I'm one of his 20 million followers now, and he's doing those bits where something crazy is happening, and then he splices and cuts in. He always catches me off guard with those, and I have a little bit of a laugh. And then whether or not I dive into the reel or not, but just the fact that he's like, gotcha, it's great. All right, Alphas, well, we'd love to hear what your favorite Mandatory Fun Day moments are. But you know what? Just stick around after the break, and we'll be back with episode 250. Maybe you can add another favorite Mandatory Fun Day moment in there. We'll be back with Austin von Leckman.
A veteran is a veteran.
A veteran is a veteran.
A veteran is a veteran.
The American Legion embraces all current and former members of the military and endeavors to help them transition into their communities.
We are Veterans Strengthening America.
We are the American Legion.
All right, Alphas. Today, we are joined by Austin von Leckman, better known across social media as Mandatory Fun Day. Austin, thank you so much, and welcome to Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
Hey guys, how's it going? I really, really appreciate you having me on.
Hello, Austin. Welcome to the show, and most importantly, thanks for your service.
Oh, thank you.
That's never awkward.
It's never. No, you know what? I don't thank you for your service.
She takes it back.
I'm walking it back. I'm just kidding. I always like to start off with our guests. If I'm in the first up seat, I like to get the origin story of the guest. I like to know what your backstory is. Where are you from? Why'd you join the service? Why the particular branch of choice? You were Army, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Your villain arc.
Yeah, like good villain. He's a superhero. Okay, so tell us all about yourself.
Sure. I think that was only 3 questions, but I did join the Army, so I'll try and remember all 3 of them. But yeah, so I'm from Portland, Oregon originally, and it's funny. There's just not a significant presence of military or veterans really out in that area. The Pacific Northwest is not military heavy, but I wanted to. I mean, I joined the Army really because the things that I was trying to do at the time had kind of fallen apart. And I had always been curious about the military. And, I kind of anticipated just getting in, doing some time, and getting out. And now here we are 13 years later. Um, every single time my re-enlistment window came up, I was getting out, and then somehow I stayed in.
You're like, hey, yeah, we got this paperwork and a good deal for you, my man.
Yeah, I just didn't want to deal with CIF, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Fantastic.
So what's your job in the Army? What's your MO?
I'm currently a military intelligence officer, but I will probably be transitioning to public affairs fairly soon.
Wow, intelligence, that's an oxymoron. So public affairs, you're going to go to Defense Information School. That's
Well, it's kind of up in the air. I'm kind of in a unique program. The organization that I'm working for, they have some satellite options or some hybrid satellite in-person options for things that I can do to meet the Army's requirements for public affairs. But they want me to kind of, in a way, informally make content for the Army. And so we're trying to figure it out. We're kind of flying the plane as we build it.
Well, since the Army doesn't fly planes, you're going to phone it in, basically, is what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, we got the Sherpas. There's a few Army planes. There's a C-12.
Yeah,
we don't have the sexy aircraft for certain.
We got no sexy planes. We got the Apache.
Don't build a helicopter while you're in flight.
Hey, did you hear that, Adam? He kind of snuck it in there. He said, "We don't have sexy planes. We've got the Apache."
Thank you.
Dot.
Oh my God, you've won him over. He's never going to stop now. Here we go.
So did all this come about from Mandatory Fun Day and from obviously the 20 million in viewers across platforms that you're able to generate? And so did the Army come and reach out to you, or like how did that happen?
Well, actually, I was planning my transition out.
Which time?
Yeah. Well, this one was legitimate. I started doing paperwork. I started lining up jobs and stuff like that. And then I talked to an 06, a full bird colonel, and she was different than any other officer I'd spoken to. She is not rigid in her thinking. She enjoys ambiguity, and that's where I thrive. I want to be in a place that nobody else has been, and I feel like I do pretty well in that spot. But she, I was talking to her, and I was like, hey, she was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to do content, and like, I'm good at it. And she was like, okay, well, let's figure out how to get you to do that in the Army. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, this isn't possible. And a couple months later, she called me and she said, hey, I built a position for you. Like, it's ready. Like, let's do this. And I was like, okay, ma'am, like, what are my deliverables? What do you want me to do? And she literally, I'll never forget this moment on the phone. She said, you're the expert. You tell me what we should do. I had this full bird colonel telling me like, hey, I don't know this realm, but you do. I just want to resource you and let you run. And so at that point, she had won my full loyalty at that point.
Yes.
You know what
You're
I mean?
like, finally, somebody who gets it.
And so she very much, and we were just recently on a phone call. We are talking to an aviation unit currently that we're going to do content with. And the aviation unit said, hey, we've got some forms you guys got to fill out, yada, yada. And Colonel Saling was like, hold on. Because there were 4 content creators on the call, including myself. And she said, hey, we are going to deal with the administrative stuff. We want the creators dealing with creative stuff. And so
nice.
I was just shocked. You know what I mean? This person is... Because, a lot of times in the military, it's a very one-sided relationship. One person's pulling and the other person is being drugged, you know what I mean? But they really want to work to make this work for everybody. And at the end of the day, the Army's biggest issue right now is recruiting, right? It's manpower. And I've seen that because I've been in, at the battalion level for the vast majority of my career. And so they want to facilitate this. And it's nice being part of a team where everybody's giving 100% effort and where nobody's trying to self-preserve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great example about how like the right leader thinking the right way can recognize talent and opportunity.
Right.
And then, it's got to transcend beyond that. It can't just be you have to take it to the next step to be able to provide, right, like the top cover, like you were saying, to say, no, we're not going to get bogged down in this. Like this person is here for a very specific thing. And that's to do something that, nobody else can do in the way that you can. So can you talk a little bit about how your passion for content development has kind of grown into like where you are now, and how are you thinking about this opportunity ahead, and how do you bring over, all the things that you've been cultivating and refining, putting out that your audience loves to consume, and then moving that over to what's in store for you? What's ahead?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's been crazy how it's developed, right? I was in Office Joe, which is a literal TV show on Amazon Prime, which is crazy. I made my acting debut with zero acting experience. I do a ton of keynote speaking now. Like I yell at my phone and I post it on the internet, so people want me to come speak in front of crowds, which obviously, right?
There's a transition that makes sense to me.
But yeah, and honestly, the keynote speaking is my favorite thing to do. I mean, it is so much fun to do. And
is it very free? Like you can kind of get up there and just do your own thing with it?
Yeah, I'm not good at that many things. Honest to God, I'm not that great at that many things. But I found that is something that I'm good at, and I love doing it. But when I started doing this, I had no idea it was going to blow up like this. I mean, because even as far as content creators go, I'm fairly large. I've made it farther than most content creators do. And I just didn't expect that because I personally don't find myself that interesting. But I made somewhere between 20 and 27 videos on TikTok. And one of those videos in that range did like 60,000 views. And it was super easy to do. It took me like 10 minutes to make. And I was like, I can do this every single day. And that's what I did. And people will ask me, like, what is your biggest tip? And it's literally that I've made 6,000 videos in 3 years. Like, that's it. Wow. Like, just keep making content. Like, just because if you have that kind of volume, you're going to figure out what works. I figured out what works for my audience. And then when I found what worked, I did it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And that's been, and anytime I take a dip, I just make a video about DTS, which all service members universally hate. Yeah.
All right, let's bring it back to the baseline. We all know that we can hate on this. That's great.
I unite us all over our hatred of army systems, or military systems, rather.
There's such great advice that you have in there, which is right. Like, just get out there and do it. Like, don't stop, and then refine your craft over time. And then once you start to get confidence in what's working, really scale that and accelerate that.
Yeah.
And then once it kind of doesn't work, and then come back to what does.
I always tell people too, like a lot of people tell me, I want to make content, but I'm nervous that people will notice my freaking weird nose or something. Like, they have these weird insecurities. And I had the same thing. I actually didn't make content for about 2 years. Like, I put off starting because I was like, I am not deployed. I don't have any cool badges. My career in the Army has been kind of unremarkable. Why would anybody care about what I have to say? Nobody has cared about that at all. Like, I've never even seen a comment of anybody saying, like, this guy hasn't deployed. He's not actually funny. Like, you know what I mean? But that's the thing in my mind that I had an insecurity about. Now, people do comment about other things. Like, I saw a comment the other day and it said, your lips move weird when you talk. And I was like, I could have gone my whole life without hearing that. Like, why would you say that? Because now
people are so we can see that.
Videos, and I'm like, do my lips move weird? Like, so I guess what I'm saying is, don't worry about the things you think you're insecure about, because your audience will give you new ones, and just go to counseling.
Oh my gosh. So now you're like looking in the mirror, talking, and you're doing it weird because you're trying not to do it weird.
I know. People are always like, you sound like Morty from Rick and Morty. And I'm like, stop commenting this. Like, stop.
Oh man. So first of all, it was fantastic meeting you at the Army Navy game. That was cool. And I've been following your workout plan actually for about the past 4 weeks, and my results have been incredible. I shoved a parent at a soccer game last Saturday. She didn't get up. I yeeted a kid almost 12 foot, and that's 3 foot more than what I'm used to. And so I do have a quick question. And my real question is, have you made so many videos at this point that you don't even catch your own references? Like, people make jokes at you and you're like,
It's funny that you say that because not a single time has anyone ever referenced a video and I didn't remember. Like, it's like I can go back and remember almost the exact video word for word. It's weird. I have this, and it's funny because I have the worst memory. I have the memory of a goldfish. And like, but I have this incredible recall for my own content, which I don't know if I'm a narcissist or whatever, but like I definitely have solid recall for my own videos. So yeah, that hasn't really been a problem. And I'm fairly strategic with the phrases that I use and stuff now. Like, I know what people are going to think is funny. Like, I exist out of spite is the one that's popping off right now. People love that. And then I have a hat that just says I exist out of spite in big letters on it. And people love that stuff. But yeah, no, I don't know. I've got pretty good. I've never missed one of my own references. And people often yell them at me in public.
So that's good to know, because I'm going to actually list off all your videos, and I want you to reenact scenes from each one. So I actually, my real question was, can you tell me about your role in Office Joe? Because like you said, you go into just, you don't take yourself seriously, which is what makes you kind of like great. You don't laugh at your own jokes. It's kind of like a dry humor. I think that it resonates with people that are in office spaces that have to deal with just in general. And I think that's one reason why you've branched out even from people watch you and know of you who aren't even military. So, what inspired you to take part in a comedy series about transitioning to civilian life, which is obviously something you never intend on doing? And how did that sort of happen?
Yeah, so Nick Palmisano, who is, my best friend, well, first off, if he asks me to do something, I don't even question it. I just go do it. That's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. But he asked me to do this, and Nick does not ask you to do something that he doesn't think you're going to murder. You know what I mean? And so I knew going into it, like, if Nick thinks I can do this, I can definitely do it. And I showed up, and I was still rehearsing my lines on the freaking flight to North Carolina. I was so nervous because I really do have a bad memory. But then I got there, my co-actor was Jared Taylor, and we had really good chemistry, and it just flowed. It's like we started, I remembered all my lines. We were able to do, there were some scenes we were able to do 8 or 9 takes. And so it was really good. And I was honored that Nick asked me to be part of that project, because that was a huge undertaking for him.
Yeah.
That was massive. You know what I mean? And to have him basically say, hey, I think you're going to be a good steward of this thing that I'm going to put so much effort into was very flattering. You know what I mean? And that he thought I had the chops for it, despite the fact that I have 0 acting experience.
Well, you do now. You've got some acting experience now.
Now I'm on Prime. You know what I mean?
They call it prime time.
When I have random people come over and be like, hey, let's watch this show. Is that me in there? Oh, my God.
When did I do that?
Yes. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. That's one of the highlights of my life for sure.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's pretty cool. You have like a brand and merchandise line. You actually mentioned it, Exit Out of Spite, and you've got that's kind of on some brand and merch. Talk to me a little bit about what was the brainchild behind that? What made you want to stick that on a bunch of shirts and stuff? Why?
Yeah. So it started with my geopolitics content, and when I would say don't touch my boats, because America in general, culturally, and since the inception of our country, has had almost a religious fervor surrounding our maritime vessels. And it's, a sailor could tell you better than I could, but I believe that it is because of the time and resources that it takes to build a ship, right? It's a massive undertaking. And so
they're like homes.
Right. Yeah. They're they really do have a cult behind them. The Navy is effectively a cult. And anybody in the Navy that's offended by that, you can't tell me I'm wrong. So it is what it is.
You're right.
But yeah, and so I started saying don't touch my boats in certain videos, and people really latched onto it. And so somebody told me, you need to put this on a shirt, and I hadn't done merch at that point. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And so I teamed up with a company, slapped it on some T-shirts, and I think I sold 10,000 of those T-shirts in 2 weeks. And so it was just it was so mind-boggling how responsive people were to it. And so now it's really cool because I have a source of income that's separate from the platforms. And because the platforms are very finicky, they go up and down. You can't really count on that money. And then half the time they're trying to demonetize you or something. So
that's pretty cool. You also have obviously a presence on YouTube and stuff like that. And I was cracking up. What was I seeing the other day? You have hey, you were saying something about High Speed and Warrior Companion and Shipmate and Battle Buddy. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about where do these spur out of do these stem from spur of the moment, or are these well thought out, well planned things?
Yeah, there's no planning behind them. So it's funny, my friends make fun of me because sometimes I'll go silent on the phone like mid sentence, and like now they know I just had an idea and I'm writing it down. There have been times when I've literally stopped like walking and I'll just like stare off at Mars or the ether, whatever I'm looking at, because I'm having an idea. It almost feels like a curse at times at this point because it just happens. I thought that my ability to generate ideas was going to be the biggest thing that held me back as a creator. But I have a list of ideas in the notes on my phone, and I've probably got a couple hundred in there. Like, I have more ideas than I'm ever going to have time to even film.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of cool. But the biggest limiting factor on me for sure is time, especially being active duty. And that's part of the reason why I think it's cool that I'm about to start doing this project, because it'll hopefully give me some time back. I won't be, I won't be doing necessarily all the normal military stuff. I'll just be able to focus on content. And obviously during duty hours, it's going to be Army focused, but it always is spur of the moment. And normally I have a 1 word or 1 sentence prompt, and then I rip it from there. I'm generally not good off of scripts. Like I emceed an event one time, and I'll never do it again because that was fully scripted, and God, I stunk at that.
You didn't know what to do with your hands.
I know. And then people were messing things up in the script. It wasn't me, I swear to God. But then they're looking up at me, and I'm just the dumbass. I probably can't cuss on this one. Sorry,
You're
guys.
fine.
I'm just the lieutenant that everybody's staring at. They're like, "Did you mess this up?" And I'm like, "I didn't. They are out of order. It wasn't me." But I can't say that at the event. You know what I mean?
It wasn't the lieutenant.
All my talking is off the cuff as well, and which means sometimes you forget things. But it when it goes well, it goes really well. Right. But I hate when I go somewhere and they want me to run through things like 3 times. I'm like, you guys are destroying my ability.
I know.
I know. It's really hard on your like creativity.
Yeah, I think having a general idea or an outline of where you're going is fine, but when you like regurgitate it over and over, it's just it's so disingenuous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually I very rarely have to do second takes in my own content. And it's not because I'm doing everything flawlessly. It's because I just don't care if I mess up a word or whatever. Yeah. But if I have to do more than a third take, like I just can the idea for that day. I write it down and I do it the next day or whatever. Because it's just, at that point, I'm so angry. I'm like, why can't I get this? And so I just got to like move on.
Well, I think it's really cool because you've established that authentic delivery without having to put like a filter or a barrier or rehearsing. And yeah, I mean, I speak a lot as well, like Joe and Stacy. And if I have to go from a script, I mean, I can read the words on the page, but if you want the passion coming through and if you want the inspiration, then I need the couple word prompts. I need the loose outline, and I need to be able to know, like, what am I trying to communicate here, to my audience?
If you want to see me cry, you got to let me.
You
let me
you want
talk.
to see Joe cry? Just wait 5 seconds. No.
I'm the crier.
So I wasn't that familiar with your content beforehand, but I got on and I was, consuming some of it and laughing at the things we're talking about. But there was also one that really stuck out to me, and it was just you kind of addressing the audience, I think, in between sets, in the gym. And it seemed like you were really, kind of talking from the heart. And so, talk a little bit about that content that you produce as well, because it seems like maybe going back to your ability to just be authentic, that you can show up and not necessarily have to provide the sarcastic humor, but be able to comment about real things, through the audience that you've curated. And I saw that maybe that one, just from like a comments and engagement, generated more traffic. Maybe it was the topic that you were talking about, but there was something about, not even the humor side of things, but just like the deeper meaning behind you as the person having thoughts in the world and sharing that with your audience.
Well, yeah, that specific video, I know which one you're talking about. It always generates a lot. So in the video, basically the premise behind it is, even though we disagree on certain things, we don't have to hate each other. And I feel like as a country, we are very divided, and everything is so divisive. And I know people that are like, hey, if somebody's a Democrat or somebody's a Republican, I'm not going to associate with them. And that's just insane to me. That's crazy. I'm fairly apolitical, and I mean, I use the excuse that I'm active duty to stay out of politics online, but truth be told, I'm never going to get into politics because it's just not my bag. And quite frankly, I believe that unsolicited advice 99% of the time is worth exactly what you paid for it. I don't generally try and give advice, because I hate it when people just give me unsolicited advice that I didn't ask for, because I'm just like, what do we got going on here? But yeah, that one specifically, I had just seen in the last couple days leading up to it, just so much back and forth on the internet. And so I used my father, who was a business owner for effectively my entire childhood, as an example. And there were policies put in place. My dad sold used cars. And there were policies put in place while he was a business owner, such as cash for clunkers. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Yeah, so cash for clunkers benefited the big dealerships, and it totally screwed my dad, who was a small used car guy, And so, but a lot of people agreed with the cash for clunkers program. And so what I said was, just because somebody agrees with that doesn't mean they hate my dad, even though it's financially affecting him and it's negatively affecting him. I don't think those people hate my dad. I don't think those people are dumb. They just don't have perspective, And somebody talking about even the more divisive topics, I don't know, border security, right? That is a fairly contested topic. Somebody in Arizona who might be dealing with that in a real way, whose neighborhood has been flooded with fentanyl, is going to feel different than somebody in freaking, Washington, for example. It just, different people have different perspective, and just because they disagree, it doesn't make them dumb, doesn't make them unintelligent, and it doesn't mean they hate each other. They don't have to hate each other. But people just draw down party lines, and it's really hard to watch sometimes, because both sides generally have a good perspective on something, and I mean, God, we'd get a lot more done if we could all just kind of get along. I just wish I could put everybody in a big get along shirt. You know what I mean? Big 4XL
Everybody
shirt, put everybody in there.
Everybody, it's on the wall.
Yeah, everybody start doing cherry pickers, and we'll all
Don't make me tap the sign.
But yeah, and so now I'm rambling at this point, but I think you guys get the point. I just wish everybody could take a chill pill and we could figure something out together.
It reminds me of that old, I don't know if you remember, there was an old commercial that had a prominent Republican and a prominent Democrat, and they were sitting there eating or drinking Pepsi and a Coke. And it was like a collab, and they sort of tapped their drinks, and it was just sort of, I remember that. And then, as I got older, I thought that kind of thing was impossible. And then I spent time in DC, and I realized that a lot of the anger that you're seeing is not in DC. Weirdly, a lot of those people are friends. A lot of those people are friends. They're good friends. They eat lunch together. And I don't mean that to say anything other than the fact that be careful where you're getting all this anger from, because it may be for the purpose of making someone money or clicks, and not because there's really that much divisiveness.
Meanwhile, there's an independent over in the corner drinking an Orange Crush.
Yeah, and it's so funny, one of the number one comments in that video was, yeah, but if we're talking about human rights, there's no, I can't, whatever. And it's yeah, that's why I used my father, who's a business owner, as the example. Our The veteran community is very opinionated. And unfortunately, the loudest ones are also generally the least likely to be open to the idea that maybe they don't have the perspective that they think they do, or that they might be wrong. I am wrong all the time, and my bosses and coworkers tell me quite frequently.
My wife tells me.
It's this interesting thing of like the jester being able to speak the most truth. And that's
that's interesting. Yeah.
that goes back for, the archetypes as long as they've been around. And so it's something about being able to cut and look at, the comedians, of today, being able to go and talk about things that nobody else can talk about, because, comedy is the vehicle that cuts through everything. So I would just say
comedy is disarming. It's disarming. If you can make somebody laugh, you've made an ally.
And I think we're at a point now where we're on the backside of this really harsh, hopefully on the backside of this really harsh cancel culture, and comedians are able to do the thing, which is make a caricature of society. Not everything they say is an actual opinion and stuff. And I say all that, but I do kind of want to circle back around with something. Your video about your daughters, it went viral, landed you on the Today Show, which is crazy that you got to go do that. I've got 4 kids, but after 2 daughters, I stopped letting God decide and adopted 2 boys. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've never understood the better clean your shotgun comments. I mean,
that's weird.
That's weird. It's a weird energy.
The idea that somebody would suggest that I should even threaten somebody's child with physical violence is like, even as a kid, I was like, what are you talking about? And now there's 2 sides to that. Now you're getting me on my soapbox, all right? I'm all fired up now. But like, there is 2 sides to that, right? Because we have to, like, our culture of masculinity in the United States of America is like, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are just trying to sleep with as many women as possible.
Yeah.
And that is a fact. And so we need to, we shouldn't be threatening children by cleaning weapons in front of them. But also we need to like teach kids like, hey, you need to be respectful of other people. And that includes in your dating life. Hopefully that's a topic we can broach on here too. Yeah, I don't know what's off limits yet, guys.
No, I mean, honestly, we're pretty open about everything. Like, I think that's one thing that makes us as genuine as well, is that we can speak, we do criticize the VA, but we're always looking for props. We're always looking for ways to say, hey, this was well done. You nailed this. So, and I think that from what I gathered of yours, the way my girls are raised, whenever I meet someone interested in them, I pray for them, man, because I have spoiled my girls. They have high expectations. Good luck. Let me know if you need some help or advice. Like, that's how I handle it. I've never had a guy walk in my house after either one of my daughters and me go to intimidate them. I mean, I'm a one-legged 6'3" guy. So like, I think it automatically kind of happens, but I try to disarm it whenever I can, and that's sort of really my point is like, how is your family like adapted to all this? I mean, and if you don't want to talk about your family, I 100% get that. Because I'm curious, as you stay in, what happens when you pick up general? Like, what happens when you're...
That's not going to happen. No, there's not a person insane enough on earth to make me a general officer.
Of public relations? You're picking up?
Like, with the way that when I commissioned, I was almost at 10 years. I was at like 9.5 years, and I was a staff sergeant. And for those of you that are listening that were not in the Army, that's an E6. But I can retire. I mean, I'll be able to retire as a captain. But honestly, like, the opportunities outside the military are just so good, and I'm passing so many things up. The only reason I'm staying in now is because I have a love for the institution. I believe in what the institution does, and I want to solve this very real problem, which is people. And the only reason we're still having this problem is because we are not effectively utilizing social media. And thank God that's the thing that's like the only thing in the world that I'm good at. The Army recently did like an ad run, and I don't know what all went into it, but they did it with The Rock. And The Rock is a big name, but I don't think he resonates with the 18-year-old crowd, the recruitable population, like he would with our generation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if I saw The Rock in an ad when I was 18, like that was like at the height of his acting career, right after WWE. Like that would have been cool. And it's funny, I make jokes like the Army will say, hey, we need a celebrity to attract the kids. Who should we get? And then somebody will be like, let's get Shaggy. You know what
Pitbull.
You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, Shaggy's awesome if
Oh,
you're 30
Dolly Parton,
plus.
maybe.
Like if you have knee pain, Shaggy is sick. You know what I mean? Like I'll come out and see Shaggy, but I'm going home.
Hulk Hogan, maybe.
But like the art and the Army does a lot of things really amazing, but sometimes sometimes something doesn't go exactly as planned, and the ad run with The Rock didn't go quite as they had planned. I am really excited for this though, because what I would like to do with this program is start something that is equivalent to the World Class Athlete program, where people in the uniform can kind of step out of their normal role and they can just do content for the Army. And they can do it in there's going to be left and right limits. It will be professional. Yeah. It will not besmirch or disparage the image of the United States Army. But it'll be done in a way that gives them some creative liberty and allows them to stay authentic to themselves, because that's what works. And oh, by the way, the Army's not spending any marketing dollars on it because they're just paying the salary of the green suitor. So it's like super cost effective. Like worst case scenario is it doesn't exactly work and you just took this person out of a duty position for a year. Best case scenario is we have a ton of content go super viral and the Army basically just got a bunch of free advertising. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Love it.
Well, sorry, Joe. Did I just cut you off?
I had one more thing that I wanted to ask, and I feel like you being on here, I love the American Legion get up. I did want to ask one last question on my end before I pass it on. What got you involved with the American Legion? Because a lot of times people don't get involved until prior service, and they have that aching hole inside of their heart that says, okay, I wish I had stayed in, or I want to go back in. And then they find the American Legion. So I'd love to know, a little bit about that journey.
Well, the American Legion, it just isn't as big for my generation, or it wasn't pushed as hard for my generation when I joined. I only learned about the American Legion a couple years ago, and I immediately fell in love with the mission, what the American Legion does. And when I was given the opportunity, and Nick is the one that kind of made the connection, when I was given the opportunity to work with y'all, I was like, I didn't have to think about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's an incredible organization. It's massive. It's got a lot of history, and the mission is the best. And then I started interacting with the people that work for the American Legion, and every single one is incredible. Every single person believes in the mission. Every single person is dedicated to veterans, their families, and service members. And it was just, I wanted to be a person that helps steward the next generation of young veterans into an amazing organization to keep that organization going. But also I want to help link them up with the resources that the American Legion has. Like, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And so that's how I got, that's how I got involved in the American Legion. But it was Nick, again, that made the connection. And it's my favorite professional relationship that I have is with the American Legion. And every single time, like a lot of companies, and I keep having to adjust this because my tripod's really cheap, because I'm really cheap and it keeps falling. But I don't know. I really wanted to help be a voice, because I have a really good finger on the pulse of the 18 to 25-year-old military and veteran community. And I wanted to be able to communicate to them with my own style of humor and comedy, and with my platforms like, hey, this organization's amazing. Give it a shot. And really, the American Legion is largely a community-driven organization. It's us. Everyone is the American Legion. And so we need that next generation to come in and kind of carry the torch, And so that's kind of what I wanted to help facilitate.
Dude, you're a rock star, man. Honestly, I appreciate it. You keep saying you're not good at stuff, but you're having a huge impact.
I appreciate it.
And it means a lot. I love to see people who find ways to serve when they get out, and you're finding ways to serve veterans while you're still active duty. And I'm not going to cry, so don't look at me like that, Adam.
He is. He's
but it doesn't mean I'm far away from it. For me, consideration and love, that stuff is like my heart kink, as it is, right. For the weirdest way I could possibly put that. But honestly, man, I love what you're doing, and it means the world that you're here and hanging out with us today. And I do appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys having me on. And it is funny, at the Army Navy game, somebody introduced. I'm about to sound terrible. I meet so many people I can never remember names anymore. But somebody in the American Legion introduced me to somebody very important in the American Legion, and they introduced me by saying, "Hey, this is Austin. He's one of our content creators that we work with, and he had." I don't want to get the wording wrong, but she said he had like one of the most or the most effective internet ad we've had as far as recruiting or something to that effect. And it was one of the ads that I did for y'all that I sent over to Nick's guys, and they kind of cut it up and made it look really good. And to hear that I had created such an effective piece of content, I don't often like feel proud of myself. And it's something that I'm working on, right? I got my counselor.
Yeah.
But in that moment, there's very few things that had made me feel more pride. And not because I did something really well, but because I did something well and it had such an amazing impact on an organization that I love and believe in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Well, Austin, you're amazingly talented, amazingly funny human being, and we appreciate you.
Gorgeous.
Alphas do appreciate you too.
My mother tells me that I'm very handsome.
That's because she looks in the mirror and she has to see your face. So it's, Alphas, you can get on YouTube and subscribe to Mandatory Fun Day. You can do that right now. Actually, go out there and do it right now so you can get some chuckles in.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, that's got to happen right now. We're going to have those social media handles in our show notes, as well as Mandatory Fun Days, everything. So keep in touch. Austin, we love your antics. We're going to see a lot more from you. And before we sign off, is there anything that we may have missed?
I don't think so. My website's themandatoryfunday.com. You can subscribe to my newsletter there. And if you want to pick up some Toaster Bath merch, feel free.
TheMandatoryFunDay.com. Austin, thank you so much for visiting us today, for laughing with us, and keep speaking the truth through your comedy. Alpha,
or
stick
funny
around
lies.
for some scuttlebutt.
Oh, also, somebody already has MandatoryFunDay.com. That's why I had to do TheMandatoryFunday.com. So if that's one of y'all, hit me up. We can work something out, all right?
Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal.
Mandatory Fun.
Somebody has Mandatory Fun Day on Twitter, too. Like, give me that. I have to be the monotone Mustang on X or whatever we're calling it now.
Fantastic.
All right. And with that, Alpha, stick around for some scuttlebutt after the break.
Welcome back, Alphas. We're keeping things short and sweet on the countdown, so there's no scuttlebutt today. But thanks for taking the trip down memory lane with us.
We really hope you guys enjoyed the episode. On behalf of the entire Tango Alpha Lima podcast team, we hope you're enjoying time with your loved ones during the holiday season.
If you miss us during the holidays, which I know you are, you can always subscribe to our podcast, our newsletter, or send us guest and mail recommendations at legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima. So long.
So long.
Bye.